It is time for the World Series Game 1 preview, our World Series MVP picks, and a little World Series trivia. Thank you for joining us live on the Just Baseball Show. If you're not joining us live, thank you for joining us on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, wherever you ingest your podcasts. Could also be YouTube, Jack McMullen, Peter Apple. Who we brought to you by to kick us off?
BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Remember, folks, download BetMGM, whether that be on iOS or Android, and use promo code JUSTBASEBALL. Why? First bet offer up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first wager loses. We're going to talk World Series MVP. You already got our prediction, so if you have yet to download BetMGM, remember to use code JUSTBASEBALL because, again, first pick loses, you get whatever you wagered on it back in bonus bets up to $1,500.
How about that? We are going to talk Game 1 preview, which we have a matchup for. Blake Snell, Trey Yesavage in Game 1. How about Yesavage starting Game 6 and then cycling right back to start Game 1? Kevin Gausman, I know, threw an inning of relief on Sunday night in the ALCS, but it was on typical rest as well. Like, that shows you the confidence that they have in Yesavage. Clearly, we're going to get into that right now. How do you want to attack this Game 1 preview?
Can we first just talk about Trey Savage's 2025 timeline?
Yeah.
Our phenomenal Twitter team broke it down. On April 8th, he made his first career start in single A. On May 20th, first high A start. June 12th, first double A start. August 14th, first triple A start. September 15th, first MLB start. Then on the 5th, that first playoff start against the Yankees where he obliterated them. Then 10-13. First not so good start. But then he bounces back on October 24th, on the 13th, turns in a pretty decent start. And then, of course, he is our Game 1 starter. Addison, a member of our fantastic Twitter team, said it's the best rise for an MLB prospect ever. And I thought to myself, whoa, that sounds crazy. Like, what do you mean ever? But then I think about it. It might be. I mean, off the top of my head, a guy who starts in A-ball and then starts Game 1 of the World Series, find a better storyline than that.
I don't think there is one, and it's entirely a credit to Trey Yesavage, but also, I guess, a credit to the Toronto Blue Jays, because last year in the draft, there were some medical concerns that caused Yesavage to slip a little bit. He was a caliber pitcher that probably should have gone in the 7 to 15 range, and he slips into the 20s in the first round of the 2024 draft. And credit to the Blue Jays for, I guess, not overthinking any medical things that might have popped up. I have no idea what medical things might have popped up, but credit to them for rolling the dice on this guy who was amazing at East Carolina. And he has proven that weird works, and weird is better than hard at points. Hard is the velocity obsession, and the velocity obsession works. There's a reason that Tarek Skubal and Paul Skeens are the two best pitchers on the planet. You can in all likelihood make the case next year that Gary Crochet is number 3. Velocity is amazing. But all those guys have something weird going on as well. With Skubal, it's this leg kick. With Crochet, it's kind of the short arm delivery, how hard he works down the mound. With Skeens, it's crossfire. Like, there's something weird. Nobody's stock that's really good in this league. And Yesavage is proving that weird works really well. And he has rode weird to a Game 1 World Series start. He's opposite Blake Snell, who's just really good.
Yeah. And I think for all those listening, again, thanks for joining us on YouTube. What he's talking about by weird is he has the highest release point in baseball, and it's over 7 feet. So he's got that, mid-90s fastball, but it's the splitter, and it's tough to discern which is coming. So that's why he gets some ridiculous swings. I know in that one of those starts against the Mariners where he struck out the side, like he got Naylor, who looked like he was swinging the bat for the first time. He got Randy Arozarena on a high splitter where Randy thought it was going to drop even lower and and then he's walking back to the dugout just thinking like, what in the hell is going on? I want to talk about why I think the Blue Jays went with Trey Savage, because I think it's the right decision.
Yeah.
If you go with Kevin Gausman, because at this point, I think Trey Savage, because of that inning in relief from Gausman, has a little bit more rest. But if you felt confident, you could go either way. but he does have a little bit more rest. And this start is game one, but I think it takes the pressure a little bit off him. If the Dodgers were to go up against Kevin Gausman in game one and win, now your backs are against the wall. And maybe that would bring out another edge in him. But I have to imagine game one of the World Series, you're already getting 100% of that dog in him that Trey Savage brings to every start. So he's going to have that regardless. And I also think it's a good taste breaker because Gausman has faced the Dodgers a number of times.
Yeah.
If we remember, he was a San Francisco Giant. So he's played in that division. Obviously, not every guy in the lineup, but over the years, the Dodgers have seen Gausman plenty. He's been pitching for a very long time, and they've even seen him this season. So you go with the guy who has shown that he's built for these types of moments. At home, he doesn't have his backs against the wall after a game one loss. He can throw and feel good about himself and give the Blue Jays as good of a shot to win this game as possible. My only problem is, though, the matchup isn't great. And we'll get into that in a second. Or I can just tell you right now.
No, don't tell me right now. I want to acknowledge that is a top flight spin zone, arguing that starting game one of the World Series is actually the lowest stress game that you can start in the World Series, given the circumstances.
Is that better? Would you be more stressed starting game two down 0-1 or just going game one of the World Series?
It's tough. I've never come close to that situation, so I have no idea.
In that situation?
I'm just trying to think about the pageantry that goes into game one versus game two. In game one, like there's way more build up to game one than game two. But you're right. The stakes are, I guess, it's hard for me to say lower because the first impression is absolutely massive. But the stakes are a little different. Now, if you're up 1-0, the stress is entirely off you, Savage. But do you want to gamble that? Like, do you want to roll the dice and hope that that happens against Blake Snell? No, not necessarily. I would be curious to hear John Schneider's reasoning for Yesavage game one, and that could be public right now. I know World Series Media Day is going on at this moment, but I don't know, man. I hear what you're saying, and I think I agree with you, but I just can't wrap my peanut brain around it like, all the way.
I guess what would be the point of going Gausman game one over Yesavage? Because I think
just like your $115 million pitcher gets the ball game one. Your quote unquote ace gets the ball game one.
He's gonna pitch. He's gonna pitch game two anyway. I think what they're doing is they're trying to set Trey Yesavage up for the most success.
Yeah,
and knowing, hey, our guy Kevin Gausman can pitch anywhere in any spot.
Sure.
So we'd rather set them both up like this instead of Gausman going game one, and then you have a rookie backs against the wall in game two. Like that's an uncomfortable situation.
Sure. Versus if you're down 0-1, you trust your ace and your $100 million pitcher to get you a win game two.
100%. And I also do think that the Dodgers never seeing him could make it weird. I remember we talked about in the World Series preview. At least the first time through the order, you can watch all the film you want. But this is a weird, funky guy who I don't think is going to be afraid of the Dodgers. I think he's going to go right at him.
Yep. All right. On the other side, Blake Snell. Do you have much of a dissection of Snell? I can give you the standard numbers on him in the postseason as it stands. 21 innings, 6 hits, 2 runs, 28 punch-outs, 5 walks. That's a whip of 0.52. A 0.86 ERA, and opponents are 6 for 67 against him. That's an 0.90 batting average against. And oh, by the way, he's 3-0 in his 3 starts. Blake Snell is pitching as well as any pitcher in Major League Baseball in the postseason. You could argue he's pitcher 1 right now, and the only competition would be his guy Yamamoto.
So the good thing is, the Blue Jays have hit him well in the past. Just kidding. They faced him this year, and they got 3 hits against him in 5 innings. Didn't allow a run, and he struck out 10. Remember that lineup that doesn't strike out? Lowest strikeout rate in baseball, highest contact rate in baseball, 10 strikeouts. He did face them the year before. He dominated them again. 5 innings, only a few hits, and a bunch of strikeouts. He's faced the Blue Jays a number of times in his career. We remember he used to be a Tampa Bay Ray. Now, again, these are different lineups. It's just bringing you all the numbers possible. None of them may matter, but that's what we're here to do. 2.39 ERA over 79 innings against the Blue Jays in his career. He ain't afraid of this place. He's pitched in the Rogers Center plenty of times, so it's not a new environment. Now, he's never pitched in the Rogers Center in a World Series type environment. Of course, nobody has since 1993. But he won't be afraid of the moment. He has no problems going to pitch on the road. And the Blue Jays lineup against lefties is still really solid. But this is a different cat. This guy, his blood runs cold. They got a problem in front of them. That's all I'm going to say. And I've been looking at all the betting lines too. No pitcher has had a 6.5 strikeout line against the Blue Jays. None.
No. Do I see this note correctly from Brody Morrow? He's the only pitcher who the Jays had double-digit punch-outs against?
Might be true. I know he had 10, and I have been watching Blue Jays baseball all year. I don't remember another pitcher getting 10 punch-outs against the Toronto Blue Jays, so that might be accurate.
Wow.
Wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either. Can't confirm that right now, though, but I believe you, Brody. Thank you for watching and listening here. Blake Snell, Trey Yesavage. What else is there to dissect at this point?
So I think it's important to, and we don't have all the information, but whether Bo Bichette's going to play or not, because of course that should help the Blue Jays lineup. And John Schneider did come out today and he said that it might be some second base, could be some shortstop, it could be some DH, and that George Springer is going to be available to play the outfield. And John Heyman even tweeted out he was at the workout and basically said, I'm not the one making the decisions, but he did look good in my eyes. So it was a good thing for the Blue Jays to get another bat like Bo Bichette in. But on top of it, you got a right-handed bat against a lefty that's only going to help elongate the lineup even more. You're likely going to take Addison Barger out of the lineup and figure out a way to get Davis Schneider in there. So it's still definitely a good lineup against left-handed pitching. The problem is you could throw those numbers out the window because it's Blake Snell in the playoffs, and Blake Snell in the playoffs is a different cat. Yeah. This guy's a monster. So there's not really much to break down from the Dodgers lineup, right? They haven't seen Yesavage. Yesavage has 3 regular season starts and a few postseason starts under his belt. Yeah. But the one thing is, and I talked about it again on the World Series preview, the Dodgers are number 1 in xWOBA this year against combinations of fastball splitters and sliders from righties. Number 1. Now, does that mean that they're done? Right? Does that mean the Blue Jays have already lost this game? Of course not. No. The Mariners were within the top 10 against those pitch mix. The Yankees were in the upper half of Major League Baseball, and he made the Yankees look terrible. Yeah. So he could turn in a good start, but we'll see what happens with these bullpens. And you assume Snell is going to give them some length. I also expect to see Eric Lauer a good amount in this series. Okay. Because we talk about the lefties like Brendan Little, Mason Fluharty. Fluharty's had success against Shohei, and he'll kind of be that one-inning lefty specialist. Yeah. I don't know why they would bring in Brendan Little after putting up a 6 ERA to end the season. And then
again, he's not throwing strikes.
I think it's going to be Eric Lauer. And I think we're going to see Lauer a lot. And he's going to be huge for them. And I think we see him in game 1.
Interesting. Okay. We already did World Series X Factors. Let's go game 1 X Factors. The Blue Jays win if this unfolds. The Dodgers win if this unfolds. It could be a player. It could be a certain trend in the game. Give me the path to victory for Toronto. Give me the path to victory for the Dodgers.
The path to victory for the Blue Jays is Trey Savage has to dominate. He has to give you somewhat similar of a performance to what he did against the Yankees or in his last start against the Mariners. Because it's hard for me to say, oh, the Blue Jays have to jump on Blake Snell. That's less likely than Trey Yesavage turning in a good start here. So if the Blue Jays are going to win, I think it's going to have to be low scoring or just keep it tight, wear Blake Snell out so he's only going 6 innings. Because if he goes 8 or 7, you're screwed. But if you can get him in the 6 and then you start to face guys like Blake Trinan, that's the way. If you keep it tight, that's when you can win the ball game. Now, the Dodgers, it's easy. If you get a really, really good Blake Snell start, you're probably going to win. Yeah. Because if we're getting a really good Snell start, that means he's giving up 1 run. Even if Trey Savage shoves, Let's say he gives up 1 or 2 runs, which would be a great start.
Yeah.
But Blake Snell's in the 7th inning and he's allowed 1 run. The Dodgers won. So for them, as long as Blake Snell continues to be Blake Snell, they're going to win. But if Trey Yesavage can match, the Blue Jays have a shot.
Okay. I can appreciate that entirely. I am not sure if Yesavage can match what Snell does because I don't think Yesavage in any world goes 7. And I think Dave Roberts wants and needs Snell to go 7. Snell is easy X factor for the Dodgers. Blue Jays, I'm going to give you 2 names. Springer, because you need a hot start. Like if Springer rips a double down the left field line against Snell and just jabs in the mouth immediately, that changes the game entirely for me, at least, because that will send a shockwave through that ballpark and through that dugout saying, we can hang with this guy. He's not Thanos. He's a normal human being that might get beat in game 1 of the World Series. So Springer's first at bat is a humongous X factor for me. The other one is Alejandro Kirk. I feel like Snell and the Dodgers will be prepping for the front third of this lineup. And then there's Kirk. And like Kirk kind of slid under the rug in the CS. He was really good in the DS, but in the CS, it was like, okay, you're around sometimes, you're not around other times. If Alejandro Kirk has his fingerprints on this game, I feel like that's a really good thing for the Blue Jays. So I look at Springer and Kirk. Those are my X factors. And then obviously it's entirely reliant on Snell. Does he put him in a position to succeed through 6, through 7, heck, through 8? We'll see what kind of Snell we get on very long rest, might I add.
Yep. And his ERA is the highest on 6+ days of rest throughout his career.
Yeah.
I actually bet against him when he in that first start against the Brewers because I said, hey, maybe with this much rest, he's not going to look as sharp.
No.
Face the minimum.
Yeah.
I lost that bet if you didn't know. So yeah, I don't think he's going to be bothered by anything. He is an indestructible force. Also, we got a great question here. Appreciate the donation as well. Are you guys going to talk about Tony Vitello to the Giants? I feel like we're going to have to save that.
We will. Yes, we could do it real quick now, but we could have a longer conversation later.
I'd rather have a longer conversation later because I don't want to. Our brains are focused on World Series trivia, on MVP picks, and Game 1. And I want to give this enough airtime. Like, this is a big time get coming over from the University of Tennessee. My opinion, the best head coach, or excuse me, manager. I also got football in the brain. I was putting out some football picks. Manager in the game in college baseball, and now goes to the Giants, and you got Buster Posey's new regime there. So again, Kurt Suzuki to the Angels. We're going to talk about that at a later date, but I really, really appreciate the donation, Carter. We really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Carter. Number 1, it is head coach in baseball. It's head coach in college. It is manager in professional baseball, but it's head coach in college baseball. So he goes from a head coach to a manager. Couple quick nuggets for Carter. And again, we'll talk more at length about it probably early next week. He becomes the first guy to ever jump to a major league manager role with 0 professional baseball experience. It's only college baseball experience. The other things about this was reported by Front Office Sports. San Francisco giving Tony Vitello a raise. He was making $3.3 million a year with Tennessee. So his salary every year is north of 3.3. The Giants are also paying his $3 million buyout to the University of Tennessee, and they're still paying the $4 million owed to Bob Melvin in 2026. So they're on the hook for 4 to Melvin, 3 for the buyout, and more than 3.3 to Tony Vitello. I bet he's making 4.5, 5. That is crazy money for a skipper, and this is Buster Posey pushing all the chips forward and saying, we're going to be unorthodox, but we're going to freaking win. And I love this shout.
I think, and you and I are aligned on this, and I think Arm is too. When we started the Just Baseball show, people think it was, to have fun and talk baseball, with our friends, build an amazing community of baseball fans. No. We all want to be college football or college baseball coaches, sign a big deal and get fired.
Yes.
So we can then live off that money. That's the point of the Just Baseball show. I think you're aligned.
Also, how about this from Ben? Didn't he take a pay cut? I would be stunned if he did. I didn't see that reported.
I would understand the pay cut initially, because obviously it's likely going to lead to a much bigger
Yeah,
payday
it's the
down the
big leagues,
line.
but I would assume it would just be a minimum match at 3.3.
I agree. I don't think it was a pay cut, but I would understand if there was a pay cut.
I'd be curious to hear. I'd be curious to see the reporting on that. So we are going to get to trivia in a little bit, but real quick, I do want to go through our World Series MVP picks. Peter Apple, who you got and why?
So I already broke down on the last one why I like Max Muncy at 30-1 on BetMGM. I think those odds are completely out of whack. If you notice and you go through the BetMGM odds, he also is one of the odds leaders to lead this series in RBIs. We talked about it yesterday. Is going to be in a lot of positions against right-handed bats. He's got an OPS over 900 in his postseason career. He's got an OPS over 800 during the regular season, got an OPS over 800 during the regular season. Once he put glasses on, he put up a 161 WRC plus. He is the most underrated hitter, I think, in this entire series, and those odds are completely out of whack. But I wanted to bring you a few more long shots, because we can all say, I think Shohei Ohtani's going to win the World Series MVP.
No, you got Justin Dean. Yeah. What are the odds on Justin Dean? You got him, right?
Yeah, I like Justin Dean because that defense is going to matter in center in the 8th inning when they're up by 4 runs. I think Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is going to be the MVP. No. I'm going 20-1 or deeper.
Wow.
Let me cook for you. Number one, another long shot after Max Muncy, Blake Snell. And the reason I say Blake Snell is, let's say this series looks similar to Phillies and Brewers, where there's no real offensive powerhouses coming from either side. The pitching is what is known as the highlights of this series. Without Shohei's 3 home run game, and on top of it, 6 innings of 2-hit ball with 10 strikeouts, he likely doesn't win the NLCS MVP because guys were good, they weren't great.
Yeah.
So if that didn't happen, what might have happened? So if I think Dodgers in 5, because I think the Blue Jays steal that Tyler Glasnow start, and there's no great offensive performances on the Dodgers side, Blake Snell turns in an 8-inning, unbelievable performance in Game 1, and then closes out the World Series, maybe throws a complete game at Dodger Stadium to win it. 20-1? If I think the Dodgers win in 5, he would be the only pitcher on the Dodgers side with 2 starts. I think that's a realistic path.
Yes.
Like, I don't think that's a crazy thing to say that both pitching staffs do pretty well in this series.
No.
And you take the best pitcher in the series that won 2 of those games. So a 20-1, but I also have a 50-1 one, and we're going to stick on pitching because I just have a feeling that, and now things could change. I might even bet the over tomorrow. I'm not sure yet. But my initial thinking here is we're going to get good pitching throughout. How do the Blue Jays win? Is it out hitting the Dodgers and just crushing all of their starting pitchers? I think that's unlikely. So if the Blue Jays get a great Trey Yesavage start and win Game 1, they get a great Trey Yesavage start and win Game 5, and then we get to a Game 7, and Trey Yesavage comes out of the bullpen maybe to shut the door, and there's no crazy offensive performances on the side of Toronto, 50-1? Like, I'm looking at it right now. Who do you think has a better chance of winning the World Series MVP? Trey Savage or Nathan Lucas?
Wow. Lucas has better odds?
No, they have the same.
Oh, they have the same. Okay. Interesting. Yeah,
I would say
Savage,
Trey
the
Savage.
Game 1 starter.
That's what I'm saying. So just looking through the odds, I think some of these are off. Who else was I looking at? Will Smith at 35-1 made me kind of think a little bit. Another one that I had in the middle of the lineup, again, I'm just looking for long shots here. Dalton Varsho. I know he came off a really tough NLCS performance. He did have a couple of big hits, but was unconscious against the Yankees. If he makes a couple of big-time plays, he's going to face a lot of righties in this series outside of Blake Snell. I'm just thinking about if Vladdy and Springer have decent series, who would be the big-time lefty to really make some noise? And I think it'd be Dalton Varsho, and he's not really priced up there with the top Blue Jays. And I think he is a top Blue Jay. So those are picks that I was looking at for long shots.
Got you. Okay. I don't have odds. I also will not give gambling advice. I'm just going to give you my like picks, I guess. For the Dodgers side, I mean, Otani, I saw the odds. Like, that's unbelievable that somebody is a plus 165 or whatever it is.
It's unbelievable.
It's hard for me to fully grasp that somebody goes in effectively as Otani versus the field when we haven't seen a pitch thrown in the World Series, but that's where we're at. So, I mean, Otani, obviously, he is in a position to dominate and be in this position. The other guy that I want to shout out is Freddie Freeman. Like
Yeah.
Freeman, and I know he's, probably one of the favorites as well, but they're all righties. Like everybody on Toronto's side throws the baseball with the right hand. Freddie kills righties. Freddie has already proven that he can win a World Series MVP. So if you're looking for like the not overthinking, casual pick, Freddie Freeman on the Dodgers side. So I look at Otani and Freeman. On the Blue Jays side, they're not winning the World Series without Vladdy going absolutely nuclear.
Yeah.
Let's be honest right now. Like, okay, I can appreciate a Springer dinger. I can appreciate Bichette having this rejuvenation and he, finds health in his knee all of a sudden. I can appreciate all of these different things, but they don't win without Vladdy putting them on his back. And Vladdy was our ALDS MVP. Vladdy was everyone's ALCS MVP. Why can't he go with the clean sweep and be the World Series MVP too? So
I like the pitch too, but I think they can win the World Series if Vladdy is very good and Springer is amazing. Because he's another guy who's also won a World Series MVP against this team. And I look at the odds. Vladdy's 6-1. I know you're not looking at the odds, so this is irrelevant for you. But I'm saying for any of the gamblers out there, Springer at 10-1, Vladdy at 6-1. You could go with Vladdy, but just because Vladdy is really good, he's gonna need someone to be just as good, if not better, in order to beat a team like the Dodgers. That's why I like George Springer. You're betting on a guy at 10-1 who's a proven postseason performer, one of the best of all time, tied for third in postseason home runs at 23. Like, that's the guy who I would want at 10-1. I love the pick with with Freeman. And I think this is his counterpart, the guy who's proven it. And it seems like he ain't worried about that knee. And let's say he plays some outfield and makes a big time play as well. That's only going to help his case. So I like George Springer at 10-1 as well.
Cool.